Commissioners, your meeting is live.
Morning, welcome to the July 24th meeting of the Riley County Commissioners. Please stand and join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes, I'm going to cover the topic.
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Shannon with the Riley County Reach Committee. And today I am presenting the Employee of the Month Award for August. This nomination came in for Cindy Gabriel. Cindy has been a consistent and conscientious, valuable part of the Riley County team for 25 years and has helped every department and many boards of county commissioners complete their day-to-day duties with confidentiality and professionalism. Cindy coordinates many aspects of the executive assistant functions for the board and the clerk, but also supports department heads, administrative assistants, and everyone else needing information or direction. Lastly, Cindy has led the efforts to replace our MinuteTrack software, which is vital to Riley County. This has been a tedious and sometimes frustrating process, but Cindy and the team have made it very smooth for the rest of us. I always appreciate Cindy's smile and her attitude of getting things done. She has reminded many of us of deadlines and coordinated processes and communication. Thank you for all you do behind the scenes, Cindy. Would you like to come up and accept this award, please?
Let's step forward. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Cindy, I'll be tricked you.
Looks like you need a few minutes to speak.
You're probably here.
Yes.
Can you get a photo with the commissioners as well? Maybe here in front of the bags.
Yeah, let's do the
Yeah. Let's do. I can't see it in my be person. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Here.
Congratulations, Cindy.
Good surprise.
Yeah. She hates attention.
Yeah.
Next.
John's missing. Hi, nice to meet you.
How you doing? Rich Barker. Hi, Rich Barker. Nice to meet you.
We're here to present you with the cookie jar. We're the 2025 Resident Royalty. And we're here to thank you for what you do for us. And yeah, that's
good. So you state your names that way the public can hear.
My name is Elena Weavers. I'm here.
Good. Thank you, ladies. Appreciate it. Yeah, cookies are always stays with me.
So
Thank you.
guys.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Good luck.
To take a picture.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your ladies' forte at 4-H? Do you guys do?
I was the food sheep.
Sheep?
Yes.
What kind of sheep?
I show sheep, usually crossbred, and then I also show Charlotte wolves.
Neat.
See, I'll sleep on your side. Oh, yeah, you want to do butterflies? Even once you believe, once you believe, Garfield was something.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Have a good fair. Thank you.
No, that's what I was thinking of that. I was thinking, no cookies for John.
Probably, eat them before it gets back.
Well, those two items are hard to follow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, comments.
Oh, okay. Not a lot. Okay, let's say Monday after our meeting, I attended the law board meeting at City Hall. After a long discussion on the budget and other issues, we had a good executive session. Meeting adjourned at approximately 3:00. Stayed looking about an hour to go home, have a late lunch, and go to the PT set. That's a crazy day. Tuesday, I had several personal appointments and vehicle meetings. Appointment. Then Wednesday, I did some much needed yard work and some weed control. Had another PT session, reviewed today's agenda and documents, and visited with our interim county attorney on several issues. He's trying to beat the heat most of the week. So that's all I have.
Well, as mentioned, Monday noon was the law board meeting. No particularly big items since the budget battle was completed. But the law board does do their road show for the next 2 months, meeting Leonardville August 18th and September 15th. Monday afternoon, the building committee met to discuss emergency management remodel. There was discussion on how the building permit will be applied, and no decisions made at the meeting again this afternoon. And then Register of Deeds had a program. Amy's talked about it. We can sign up for a fraud alert or something. And I signed up for it. I forgot about it, but bought a house last week and I received a fraud alert saying something's been filed in your name. Do you know about it? So it wasn't a problem. And it's good to know the system. I'd forgotten about it until I got this thing. What's the thing? No, I signed up for that. So it does work. This
Yeah, I need to do that.
advertisement for Amy's. That's the, they got all those people on TV wanting to pay them no good, and here you can sign up and it's no cost. That. We got business meeting, I guess.
Ready for business, commissioners? First item we have, I need to accept the proposed bid from Lakeside Construction LLC for $92,850 for the UP utility extension.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to accept the proposed bid from Lakeside Construction LLC for $93,820. With a tentative start date of September 14th.
I'll second. It's been moved and seconded to accept the proposed bid from Lakeside Construction for $93,820 for the utility extensions in University Park. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair, please sign. Oh, nope, that's the bid. Sorry. Don't have a document for that. That's highway use permit. About that. Next one we have highway use permit. Granting Stephen Keating permission to install water line across Lee Lane, new residential construction according to details on them.
Okay. Excuse me. I'd like to make a motion to approve the highway use permit, granting Stephen Keating permission to complete work as outlined in the permit application.
I'll second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the highway use permit, granting Stephen Keating permission to complete work as outlined in the permit application. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair, please sign. Thank you. Next, Commissioner, the motion to approve tax roll corrections, several of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of these and they all are the same, they're all in the same building. I'm trying to remember where they have what.
Place.
So Manhattan Marketplace is there's several different businesses that occupy that space. And so there's 3 of them are 4 years of appeals and 1 of them is 2 years. The other 2 were dismissed. And so unfortunately, what happens with some of these appeals is you have these taxing authority or these tax reps that will sit on them for 3-4 years, and then they'll submit a fee appraisal 4 to 5 years later. And so in that case, that's what happened with this particular appeal. We received their fee appraisal this year that dated all the way back to 2020. And so then we are going through their fee appraisal, comparing it to our fee appraisal and having to make a decision based on the 2 different fee appraisals, because appraisal is an opinion of value. And where is the board going to land? Just kind of seeing what's the history with the Board of Tax Appeals and things like that. And so this is 4 years of Manhattan Marketplace for 4 different properties within that.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of confusing, kind of going through it and where.
Yes.
Yeah.
They all say Manhattan Marketplace. I apologize. I did not put the actual properties on here on which ones they were, but they're all part of that Manhattan Marketplace. Did you have any other questions on it? Or if you would like, I can email you, Catherine, the actual business names that were associated with each one of those, but.
Yeah, I would like that.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, I would make a motion to approve the tax roll corrections as presented.
I'll second. Been moved and seconded to approve the tax corrections as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair, please sign.
Staff.
Calisters, A&W, Noodles and Company, Bed Bath and Beyond, and the vacant home Mitchell. Those are the.
Oh, okay, so category, okay, great, thank you.
Yes, I'll still email it to you, but figuring while you're working.
Oh, yeah, that's good. It's good to know.
Like I said, I thought that was all one, when I looked online, that's
There,
a whole bunch of pieces to it.
Yes. Yes, there's a lot of pieces.
Does this finish up all of that marketplace, or there's still some?
There is still 24 and 25 on Marketplace, but it's the full wrap here.
It's getting
Yes,
there.
it's definitely not on the list now.
Yeah, good. And a sore wrist. Next, Commissioner, Riley County Employee Action Forms, Cody Tennant, new hire, volunteer firefighter, Fire District number 1. Matt Krubel, new hire, Assistant Operations Manager, Public Works Department. Both please sign. Commissioners need a motion to approve payroll accounts payable.
I would make a motion to approve payroll of accounts payable.
I'll second. Renewed and seconded to approve payroll and accounts payables. All in favor?
So please sign.
Oh, she didn't sit around. I know she loves to sit here.
First time here, we chased her up.
Runs her digital thing around.
Oh, yeah. A lot more for us.
They've been gone.
Yeah. Yeah, feel free to stop by.
When is that today?
Right now, they're doing it without us, but the food will be out for a while.
Well, I don't know about that. Do a party without us. Look at these. These that's on
Thank you. Any changes to the minutes, commissioners?
Anything?
I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented from the July 21st, 2025 meeting.
I'll second. And moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the July 21st meeting as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Tentative agendas look okay, commissioners?
The wording,
What's that?
this is gonna harass her on that. This is working at. On the 21st, there's one under her opioid requests, usually opioid funding, so that's kind of sounds. Just,
Yeah,
I knew what it meant, and I read that, I went,
Spread it around.
we can do random drug test anytime. Any items for next week's press conference, commissioners?
No.
Okay, Mr. Wilkerson is up at 9 o'clock, commissioners.
Aha, yeah, structurally sound. Stay on it. Ever again. Right, so.
The original hand in there.
I think you should, just for the sake of the picture. Yeah, and so. And he's now it's recent. Yes, I would eat it now. Well, and so we try and get. Or okay, well, some interest. Good stuff.
You came up with and you say,
Yes. Okay. Somebody used to write that, I haven't seen it yet. So I was wondering if I had one there, so it's almost there. So that was it. I certainly can on that one. I don't think I even have, didn't even know. Oh, yeah, that's some, I hadn't need to, only use that, one thing, I don't use the, I just mentioned inside, on the outside. That's an animal, my heart is not there. That is not good. Because of If the taxpayer requests to continue to conceal and property and program has the written they need to know something. Some of these tax grabs will continue. They will continue. And they continue. If Walker is
Well done. Well, sir.
they're going to put some little money, and they are supposed to be
That's a good cook.
Is it?
Jake the Burger requested.
There's all kinds of good there.
All right.
Oh,
What's my arm?
There's plenty. Yeah. Oh,
So is this?
the kids in 4-H make. They probably have these cookies entered in the baking contest, so better do see.
Oh, hey.
The annual tradition.
That's perfect.
Yeah, John's not here, so we have one day.
You get to eat John.
Oh, gosh. Only doing one. I'm trying to be on the diet now.
The thing is, no one knows.
Yeah.
The family's here.
This is an iron room.
Yeah, we're all.
Surely it is.
You know, you would think so, but you actually enjoyed watching it.
Good.
Really, I've never heard anybody say it.
I know, right?
No.
I think she
Just like to watch it.
probably, but she wants to finds it interesting to see kind of what goes on in my world, right? That's what I talk about. That's nice. I think that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
No, not currently. He is going to school full time to try to finish out the semester with a lot of hours. So she's got a little bit to be done, but when she is done, she's going to have her bachelor's in health administration from Myers Public. So.
What are the worst?
I know, I was like, it's just like, it could be hired by Riley County.
Where else would you, I guess you did your university.
Yeah, I think it ended up over there, so there's. They definitely need, you know, simple organizations. So, quasi-government work. But that kind of degree, I mean, you really, the end track of that is, like. The health administrator, possibly this, like that, it's kind of. It will feel like they see, maybe it's.
They all make it up.
Yeah, well, actually, her aunt is, the health administrator, what hills. Region, I think of so failure here and in Perry County. So she got some bad thing there to do.
Yeah. Some of them, impressed me, it was the house. The way they were gonna do things.
Right, well, the old hospital in Junction City. I've been trying to make something out of it.
Yeah.
Because I think it's English.
For reps. Sit on that. Yes. The board of benefits, yes. The board of Harrisburg and then. Oh, this side, I said, oh, there.
Yeah, so that's one of the things someone that's dying there, you know, it's like, usually I would say, well, the heavy eating for like dinner, but you're really supposed to flip it apparently. And do that in the morning.
Okay. Well, then, I don't think you're gonna do something.
No.
Maybe a protein drink.
Dinner is my favorite, especially after first time a Wagyu steak from Good Creek.
Oh,
That was fantastic, best thing ever.
really?
I mean, you pay the price for it, it ain't cheap. It was my celebratory steak for the prairie.
We're gonna be in the appraisal after the fact.
Well, yeah.
So that's fine.
Yeah.
If you have one set. That's the other. Backwards. So when we.
Stress.
Yes.
You what?
Yeah. We need something that anywhere in one place on. Right.
So you may as well start early. Yeah, I think so, because you're limited on what you can eat. So see, no excuse not to have a cookie.
And force to. Force them. So.
Oh, she did.
Yes.
And what?
Yes.
Oh, ice cream?
Yeah, I'm always happy to visit with you.
Okay.
So let me know.
Oh, yeah. About Rex appeals. Right now, they can put them on the drivers, whatever. They are the people appealing that way. But they get paid interest for that thing whenever one's. They're. Yeah, so sure. Well, I see that. And she's a. And if you won't technical words of what it is, but it's pretty high interest rate and get them back, so they don't really follow the fee. And basically, one is in there. Yeah, we like coming up some faucets. Yeah, she was saying, if they delay it, and there's no interest for that, you know. I don't like that, yeah, that's why I'm pressing with all these slow down. It's in 2020. I mean, there's interest in it's just, you know, and for years. And sure, some small counties are going to go, oh, but Johnson said, oh, yeah, that's a lot of the bigger counties going, hey. Yeah, that's a good idea. I don't. That's what one, she had somebody's negotiating, so. Probably. No, this song. Yeah. There's other wrongs. Right. There's occasions of getting. Negotiating. And once we show them, that was on top of it. Yeah, of course. But I would say that a state law, and as long as they keep delaying, saving more money. That's ridiculous. Wow. Yeah, that is. Yeah. Well, I will certainly add it to the list for us to talk and see. Okay. Very remember this one. Very memorable. Yeah, the other day.
Sure remembered. Hope you remembered it was today. Sure you know where we're at.
Reading.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Ooh, yeah, that's a. That's, I feel bad. Looking at it in a certain light, but I guess, yeah. So I didn't write up was. Yeah. I mean, that's a usual legal document. For the theatrics were in full effect. I just have, I think, from a legal writing perspective, it's like if you're trying to convince someone. Do going about it, that way, be especially the person that's supposed to be. But any allegedly. Going about it that way is not. Yeah.
I will later.
I can't even sit there looking.
I know. It's staring right at you.
Yeah. Catherine said she had a good one.
Yeah.
Anna, like a cookie?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay,
Got a bagel waiting for me at the office. I gotta choose.
see, no one in the office knows then.
What I do. But thank you very much.
Oh, let's see where he's at.
Well, the thing is, when someone's late here, it's not like they have time to get here, you know?
It's true.
Different than we were next door. Or if they do get here, it might involve a speeding ticket or reckless driving.
Yeah.
Speeding tickets, did you guys hear about the individual that was caught? I think it was on I-70 going 111.
Yeah, I did.
miles an hour.
I did.
The high junction
Oh, was it? Yikes,
in that construction.
that's fun.
Oh, next construction area.
Ooh, is that the construction area?
Because that was the one where it was, they were ready.
Fine.
Yeah.
They wanted to get it. So they blended.
And then the fines double works.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was like $1,000. See a little pricey.
What can you do? Maybe. What else?
How do you think that person was? I remain. Right. Sounds good.
That's right, I've got.
Again.
Yeah. I walked over there and it's like, and I got about 2/3 way over there and I was like, I know where this meeting's at. So. Yeah, go ahead.
Not a whole lot to report, but just some things maybe to be aware of. Our office has been working with the hospital. We've had a couple meetings this early summer with the hospital administration as well as the nurses regarding children that are not children but newborns who are being born in families with dangerous situations. Some of these newborns are going through withdrawals as they're being born because of mother's use of narcotics and drugs. And there were some issues where they had reported some things to DCF and the children were going to be allowed to go home, but they called our office. We were able to get with the police department and make sure that there were some things that were put in place where we actually, took custody of children and things of that nature. The police did put them in police protective custody. But, it's a partnership that we are, we're working with the hospital again to try to, make sure that we can at least give children the best chance they have before they go home. Some of these situations they'd have been going into a drug infested home had we allowed had the hospital just ignored the situation, allowed the children to go home. But that's been a at least a positive, in my opinion, something that's taken place with our office and an outside agency in the last few months, and we'll continue to develop safety plans and do what we can to try to at least keep children as safe as we can. We had a baby who died of a fentanyl overdose. The amount of fentanyl in the baby's system was 13 times the lethal amount in an adult. And, it's just a situation that, it's too frequent. If the one is too many, but we've had other situations where newborns, babies have gone home, dangerous situations, and then been exposed to narcotics, and in that one situation, one died. So we are trying to take it serious. We're working with the police department and the hospital, and we will continue to do so. And we'll continue to file child needed cares, which is what Pon Sunican does in our office and Bethany Fields, but we'll continue to pursue those cases and do what we can to keep children safe. We do have an opening in our office that she's done a really good job. Katie Magnum is leaving because her husband's in the military and they're going back to North Carolina. So she will be leaving, but we'll be trying to fill that position here probably in the next month. And we'll work with Elizabeth on that as well. But otherwise, nothing really exciting. I stand for any questions if you have any. And I'll try to remember, I'm going to put on my calendar that it's at the FCRC instead of just a commission meeting so that I don't go walking across and have to turn around. And I didn't speed and I stopped at all the stop signs and all the stoplights. I want you to know that. Yeah. So I decided better to be late than be real late. So, but I did obey all the laws. So anyway.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
Thanks, Barry. Next commissioner, you have Jacob Hanson at 9:15.
This on birthday said that you vote for how says it just says Katie or state grants and 1.45 workforce sales tax plus a sales exemption for the same thing that it was.
No, really?
That's
1.45 from sales tax.
sales. Because it is shared now the this how many years it goes out. It says shouldn't be using it, so it's only we have to use that for it. Adam checks it, it's what it's there for.
I know, that's what I thought all along. That was an option. That's what they asked the voters to approve. For workforce housing. On top of what they're getting paid to build.
That's why
And it's, yeah.
I didn't realize that it was just a game. So it's yours, so all of the other ones you sent us, not just having it.
Yeah, I would talk like very actually.
Maybe that's what I'm missing. Because the rest of them, based on how you have the people and attached to the outside match. So all of my. The unit number matches the unit number you assigned.
So when will you meet at the new location?
This week, release, we have to be paying.
Mhm.
Oh,
good.
I think you sent one to me and I didn't think it was yours because the one you sent to me.
Boss.
That's fine.
It'll make it yours and we'll freshen it up.
Also, speed, there's just the insurance.
That'll be nice. I'll freshen it up.
That's why I sent you the screenshot.
Make it more yours.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, we don't do anything, you know, because I know from to that.
Mhm. Right.
And that's what is that you.
Yeah.
And we heard all, even we know this stuff. You know, furniture, yeah, it's gonna be back.
Mhm. Yep. Well, hopefully the other end gets cleared up, but they've gone down in price any.
Yes, we.
Well, I hope it goes through.
Well, I know it's all, we're getting close, so you just, man, gone 3%, which is all good, that was, if any needs, I guess that's the. That's a weird, James said. Yes, it is. That will be like 30-inch.
Mhm.
You know, not that 4-inch. Oh, you got spreads of 4 years on it. It's almost 2 years. So. Instead of big thing, that you paint the wall and it's getting waste like that, it's all. So you can touch it on. And she will paint it for, but I don't just patch it up.
Mhm.
And there isn't that much, there's 2 rooms there.
You gonna do that?
Would be your theme, so that come out.
So you get to start trimming?
That's why you should do it.
Yeah.
People that's especially. Based.
Contractor pack.
16 feet long.
Mhm.
I'm trying to get those home.
That's why I got
A little far away, but it's a long way to hike.
for my long bed truck, I've got a 3/4 ton full bed as well. And then I got one of those extenders that you can put on your tongue. Will stick out there another 4 feet, you know, so that you get into that 8-foot bed and then you get another 4 feet, so 12 foot. So that looks good. That works really good. I should have bought one of those years ago. Because you can get to trim a lot cheaper.
Well, that's. Yeah.
Yeah. Then that long stuff can be different work, but too. But no. Mhm.
So, it's.
All right. Good morning, Commissioners. Jacob Hansen, interim Riley County Counselor. For my administrative session, just had just a couple topics to bring up. I think maybe one for discussion for you folks is, and I'd like to have it obviously with Commissioner Ford here, but is just the Legislative Policy Committee. I know I sent you guys an email of last year's topics. You know, I've heard a couple things here and there on maybe including some other topics as well. And this year, obviously this is just at a discussion level. You guys don't need to make any decisions on what you want to include, but I figured to give you guys the opportunity to discuss amongst yourselves. You know, if there's certain topics that you would like to see or have more discussions about. So I leave that to you two to go over that.
I was talking, but in these appeals, tax appeals, if the person appealed it, they're the ones who weighing it for several years, and they pay interest.
Yeah.
That, and I was saying, I'd be thinking, if you delay it past the first year, the interest stops, you know.
How do we do
Be
that?
good.
I don't know, that's why.
That'd be a legislative change.
We can't, it has to be state legislator, but I'm sure.
If you want to come over, you can.
Large companies would also.
Oh, yeah.
That, and I told him he need to talk to Ann to see what exactly is needed, but it's. I mean, it's a pen, I mean.
Kind of, so the thought behind that is, you know, you're allowed, the board will allow continuance, but you have some of these tax representatives that will continue it and they'll continue it and then they'll continue it and then they'll continue it again. And so when, you know, when it's beyond that first continuance, essentially that's when the interest is going to stop on some of those back years. I just think that that's somehow finding the right language to kind of force some of them to start actually having these hearings held instead of continuing it at the taxpayer's dime. I don't think that's a fair and equitable system. In addition to that, when they submit a fee appraisal 4 years after the original appeal date, I think that that's something else that needs to be looked at. I mean, you submit a fee appraisal within 1 year if you're going to use that as part of your evidence, but 4 years later, don't expect to get interest. And so, especially if there is a reduction, I mean, there's got to be something to protect the jurisdictions and the taxpayers, because when there's a reduction 4 years later, because they submitted a fee appraisal and now we're looking at 2 different fee appraisals, it's something that I think that needs to be looked at legislatively, because they'll continue it and continue it and continue it. And when you have some of these high valued properties, it has a negative impact paying that much interest back from 4 years ago.
Do you have that figure on this one we did today, or could you do this is a for instance kind of thing to give to the legislature?
We could probably have, Shiloh would have all that interest information. I could work with her, those ones that we just did and approved, and see, especially those 2020, 21, 22, how much interest is paid for all of those years. I'd have to look and see, I'd have to go back and see if we can find information relating to continuances on that one. I don't know how many times they were continued, but that's a really good example, that one and Target, where they submitted a fee appraisal this year for 2020, 2021, 2022. So we're talking 4 years later, we're just now getting fee appraisals.
And we're having to pay interest on
At all of that, we're having to pay interest on. And so we've had our fee appraisal, but then they're submitting a fee appraisal 4 years later. And so now we have new evidence that we have to consider. And so if you're going to wait that long, then it shouldn't be the jurisdictions responsible to pay interest, because you just got the evidence for your appeal 4 years later. And so I just think that that's
be a good thing to have those numbers and
Yeah.
any staff time that it takes,
But yeah, because we have to prepare the appeal so we prepare our packet, we submit it to BOTA, right before the appeal. They continue it, and then they submit new evidence. Well, then we have to now look at all of that new evidence in addition to everything we've already done, determine, do we need to, is there a reason to stipulate this now with new evidence? Or do we need to just continue to go on? And so that's where it's kind of, it's just how do you put it? And
No, go ahead.
just a system that seems problematic.
Try.
call it something else.
That's right.
Well, I think it's a really good idea, first of all, but what I really like also is how Anna, she made a statement, and I think that's the way it would help to draft it, because the legislature don't really care about the public entities having to pay it. But you might catch their ear when they say protect the rest of the taxpayers, because that's who's paying it. Riley County's not paying it. It's not coming out of any of our pockets, but it protects the rest of the taxpayers. And so I think what you said is key in how we draft that, because then they may listen.
It is the taxpayers, especially if there's not a reserve to cover it. Then even the smaller jurisdictions, the schools, all of those taxing authorities, when that money has to get paid back or pulled out of somewhere, it's having an impact.
And even if there is a reserve, it's the taxpayers' reserve.
That's right.
It's not coming out of, Riley County doesn't make money anywhere except we get it from the taxpayers. So it protects the taxpayers.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a good issue that we need to bring up in legislative conference.
Thank you.
Absolutely. What I'll plan to do is I'll add that to the list that we have ongoing, do a little bit more research into it and see, what, if anybody else, any other communities have kind of looked into this, if there's any kind of draft legislation. I imagine maybe that's a conversation that's happened in any sort of appraiser group locally, maybe not, but maybe get some input on that. I'm happy to add that in there.
And what Clancy always did, he would send an email around at this time to all department heads to see if there was any issue that they would like to present to the board that may impact the appraisers that the board would like to submit to KAC. So I don't know if the board wants to continue that, but it's still Riley County organization.
See if anybody else has ideas.
Any, check with others? Okay. I can do that. All right. Any other topics on as far as legislative topics? For now, I figure my goal here is obviously this will be kind of a continuing discussion for a little while. So no pressure on trying to come up with everything right now. The other portion in my administrative time that I'd like to take a little bit of time to talk about is industrial revenue bonds. Obviously, we've had there's been a little bit of interest generated regarding industrial revenue bonds and the property tax exemption that comes with that. As far as statutorily, guidelines go, this is in 79201A, 24th is the actual site. That's where you're going to find the industrial revenue bond statute, and where it'll say that property taxes and ad valorem taxes are exempted for projects that kind of meet that guideline. Now, this is quite a wall of text that is within that statute. There's quite a bit of also cross references to other statutes and other notice requirements and things of that nature. But generally speaking, a city would be able to exempt 100% of taxes, city or county. As if they went through the industrial revenue bond, they would be able to exempt 100% of the property and ad valorem taxes. This was tested immediately once this law was signed back in the 60s. It went immediately to the Supreme Court based on everybody's interest that, hey, that's not fair if one entity can basically say no property taxes for anybody in this case. But Supreme Court essentially held that this was more of a political question, a political issue, and that they were going to stay out of it. Was more or less the decision on the property tax exemption regarding industrial revenue bonds. To give you kind of some ideas as typical practices and IRBs, at least around the county around the state, I should say, that I've been able to find. And this would be like Johnson County. I looked at City of Bonner Springs, City of Olathe, Wyandotte County, Sedgwick County. They all have quite extensive policies regarding IRBs. And usually they do not do a full tax exemption. Usually it's either all the way up to, I think I've seen 60%. And that number is correlated with the amount of money invested into the community. The more money they invest in the community, the higher the tax abatement's going to be, right? And so they have it pretty closely tied to a number amount in their policies. One thing I did find interesting as well is there was a number of these policies that had a list of, well, what industries are they looking to have these IRBs for? Not one of them has said housing. Not one of them. And I have some reservations on whether or not IRBs would be able to be used for residential purposes. Legally speaking, it's pretty clear that IRBs aren't intended to be used for any retail purposes. It's usually when, it's going to be a job creation, permanent industry, i.e. the industrial revenue bond that comes in, and that's what those are for. To use them for housing, I haven't seen any. I haven't done a deep dive either. Maybe they're out there. It's very possible, but I think there might be some challenges if that's what is being intended as far as the IRB, any IRB issuance.
That was a question that I had. Industry is geared, and we're in this community, we've done those with big businesses, but I've not ever seen residential use.
Have you looked into the city of Manhattan's policy? What's their policy?
Yeah, so they do have a policy. It's rather old. I can't recall exactly some of the specifics. They were cross-referencing in their policies. So I read one policy and then it referenced another policy, which I didn't end up looking at. Was just trying to get more of a general picture, but it'll definitely be telling, I think. But my also understanding in their policy is they have kind of a catch-all provision that just says, if the city commission decides they want to do something contrary to the policy that's still in line with Kansas law, they could do that. So that's why it's like you have to look at it generally in the statute, what's allowed. A lot of people, a lot of places put limits on it, but they're not required, right? And so even if Manhattan were to have a bunch of limits in it, they may be still looking to exceed those.
And the city of Manhattan's 100%.
I don't know for sure. I can't answer. Not entirely sure.
There, we looked up a list, what all that is.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
A list of what had existing projects in the IRBs.
Yeah, I can look at that. Actually there, one report that I ended up reading yesterday evening was there was a Kansas legislative audit report on IRB specifically, and that was in 2022, that report was released. Tells you a whole lot about IRBs, the exemptions, whether or not they're actually working as intended. To summarize, hopefully as best as I can and not misrepresent what was within that report, was that for every dollar invested, usually there's a good return as far as economy as a whole. However, it's the exact opposite for issues when you're talking about property tax base. For every dollar invested, you do not get a $1 back. You get, 70 cents on the dollar, 77 cents. It's going to be project dependent. It's kind of across the board. And it's not to say that that can't happen, but it appears that in most cases that isn't. So it's something to kind of weigh when, communities are considering IRBs. And I'll send that report to you guys so you can take a look at it. It's about 30 pages or so, but it's a good read.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Light reading for it.
Yeah, certainly.
Like you're doing us a favor.
Yeah. I got to read it. All you got to as well. I'm trying to think any other important topics as far as IRBs go. Oh, there's one thing I did forget to mention is that another usual topic as far as IRBs are processed. Usually they use what's known as pilot payments, which stands for payment in lieu of taxes. So usually this is done to kind of help the other taxing jurisdictions that aren't involved in making the decision to do an IRB. Usually it's just a way for like if the city were to pass an IRB and do a property tax exemption for whatever amount, it would be a way for them to still receive money in lieu of taxes, right? And then to still distribute them to the other taxing jurisdictions. That's an option. It seems a lot of other areas want to do that and should utilize that. I don't know if that's always the case, but it's in a lot of policies. So some communities like to be, good partners and try to work with other government institutions. But unless you have any other questions on IRBs that I can potentially answer at this time, feel free to ask. I don't necessarily have anything else I was going to include in my administrative session unless you got questions outside of that. I'm happy to answer.
No, that's IRB is a really interesting subject. I haven't really thought about it that much.
Yeah.
What it can be used for, what it can't be used for. It's coming to the forefront.
That's interesting. So residential.
Yeah, that it certainly is. That seems to be an area of interest. All right. Thank you.
Jacob. Next, Commissioner Corey Meyer at 9:35.
This Corey, still didn't work. That's the. I know they worked on it this week, but. Oh, really? It's. Oh, like on the beat. Pretty better.
When they're here,
Pretty good interested in seeing that.
But I try to say work with these days. Oh, you guys, okay. You had a headache.
It is education.
Probably better than that.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Morning, Commission. Corey Meyer, ITGIS Director here for a staff update. Go through some of the various projects and work we've been doing. Outside of the normal day-to-days, help desk calls, tickets and so forth. As with everyone right now, trimming the budget, making sure, adjustments we've made for this year reflect the following years as well. And working hard on projecting to keep the budgets in the future years as trim as possible. Always looking for areas where we can cut things or change things or products that will help in the cost, like our phone system change we'll be going through. That had an effect both on our budget, but then the overall general budget as well and general services. So we're reanalyzing everything and seeing what we can come up with there. We'll have some additional security changes that'll be coming out next month. We're moving to multi-factor authentication at the login of everybody's computer, not just email going forward. So you won't be able to get into your computer now without having to have your phone with you to be able to get logged in. Part of both the security changes we've been looking at, but also what comes down from the state as far as the audits when we go through those will now be required. So we're working on them. Involvement with the window project, obviously the move out here, but now as we go forward with the window project, moving departments into temporary locations in that building as their windows are being completed. Community corrections was completely moved out about 2 weeks ago. All the windows are out in their area and just waiting on those replacement starts next week. So then if those windows get done next week and completed, then we'll move community corrections back. And then once we get them moved back, we'll move the counselor's office down, then those windows will get done. So, you know, we'll be playing the back and forth game for a while. But all that has gone smooth, and those departments have been very, very considerate in planning and working with us, understanding in those. So I know Jacob and his staff will be next. So yeah, we thank you. Yeah. They'll move down. So where emergency management was, that is our temporary location for each department. Yeah. Yeah, corrections. Then we'll move them, then counselors down. And then when they're done, we'll bring the counselors back. And then they'll go to where the GIS windows are at. So we'll move GIS out, they'll get them done. And then that'll end all of the areas where staff are at. And then they can continue to work without disruption after that. We have meetings every Friday, every other Fridays with BHS to get updates on how that's going. So, but if you're ever curious, poke your head in that dumpster out there where we're at, and you can see how the construction of windows used to be. That's pretty amazing. Wondering why they're making so much noise when a frame on a window is like a 4x4 post size. That's incredible. Yeah, that's interesting. So elevator modernization project, that'll be getting kicked off. Working with John there to make sure that our IT side of things is where it needs to be and so forth. But that'll get started in August at the health department, and then move into the courthouse and over to the attorneys in the month of September. We'll have a part in that in the communications and modernization. If you've been in a newer building in the elevators, you see that the elevator's got a digital screen and a camera and those kind of things. That's the type of equipment that'll go in there. The EMS headquarters, working on all the little things that come up. You know, when the keys are handed over, it's never just 100% no issues as you get going. And so you work out the little things. Working through some of those still, but making good progress on the little details and finishing off there. The EM building remodel, helping with the design, the layout, the functionality, what the IT room will be like. And that's hit 100% and getting out for bid. So we were involved in the pre-bid meeting for any questions that anybody might be submitting a bid had and answering on those. And so that's moving forward. As previously, as you know, we moved emergency management over to the health department, and just working through making sure everything works for them and functionality in there. Your move here, we again, a move happens and you tweak little things, but the sound has finally gotten much better and so forth. And but as things come up, we'll continue to make adjustments. Still going through the migration of faxes from a physical copper line within the buildings down at the downtown office or campuses to a cloud base so that we can stop paying for those copper lines, which are expensive to have on old faxes, old faxing style or type. So we're working on them. Staff in my office is working really hard on getting prepared for our move of the phone system from Call Manager to WebEx. That'll happen in September. We're getting through all of the phones set up and everything within the new phone testing, all of those pieces. And so on the back end is where all the big change will be. Your phones will still look the same, have the same buttons, configurations. There'll be some potential new functionality that will be there. So as that goes, we'll pick a weekend where we'll make that transition from old to new. It's called port. We'll port all the numbers across. And during that port, phones will be down, but we will identify a weekend when we can do that port and so forth to minimize the downtime to any staff or any operations that go on. Our Plexar system, that is the part of the old phone lines. Again, so Riley County's migration from when it was not a voice over IP, it had a system called Plexar, and that'll be one that will go away in the month of October. It costs us several $1,000s a month. And so that's been part of, worked with Brittany and identify the general services savings in where we'll have. And so it'll be anywhere between $50,000 and $70,000 that I know Brittany already reflected in the budget for 26 and the ongoing years. And so we're really happy that we're making this change, and it's gonna have that effect and help out. Minute Track, we're down to the wire. The first live meeting for Civic Clerk will be August 7th. We have emailed, I believe Vivian has sent emails to each of you as a commission. We're to that phase where we need to go over how the system works with each of you. So if you've not seen that email, please find that email. Please reply when we can set up some time to work with you and go through it. We've all taken vacation on the 7th, so we won't be, no, I'm kidding.
Make it permanent.
We will all be here to help and go through, but please be here a little bit early on the 7th, if you will. Make sure that we can help get signed in and going, and that you're ready for that meeting on Thursday the 7th. It's a change for everybody. We've used Minute Track for a long time, and so we'll have our bumps in the road to work through, but we'll work through them together, and we'll get there. We'll get there. It will work out. When I was here earlier this week, the EMR with the health department, so that our RFP went out on Tuesday, and so that process is going. We're waiting on responses and replies from vendors, and we'll go through that process, the selection process and so forth with health department staff will be involved, and of course confiding in Jacob along the way as we go through that too. But we have had some local reach out and ask about some things in regards to, not as a vendor, but hey, are you making sure that you're checking for some things in vendor selection? So it's been seen. We know it's out there, and and so those are good things. Those that shows there's a little bit of community paying attention, invested in that we're going about the right way. So that's a good thing as I see it. There's nothing wrong with some conversation and some input about that. So that's okay. Inventory, always keeping track of inventory and everything that everyone's getting. We'll be doing some monitor upgrades later in the year as we see the budget will allow. Laptop replacement, we're moving into that phase. We have 17 laptops that we'll be replacing, upgrading this year. So that order is in on those, and we'll start through a replacement there. As we do with all of our desktops and laptops, we have all of them listed out in a rotation that they go through. They're replaced around every 6 years unless something detrimental happens to one. But we do purchase accident insurance in laptops because they have the tendency to fall or, slip or whatever that might be that happens to them. It does happen. Public Works or the conference room down in the basement. We're looking at some AV upgrades in there. Security projects, I previously mentioned multi-factor authentication when logging into desktops and laptops. We also did some additional work out at the 911 towers for some additional security there, and I'll keep the comments as little as that so that in regards to security pieces. Our case Aegis audit went through, and we have that taken care of. We moved extension out to Potter Hall for a fair time. They've been going since the 17th, so however far back that goes a little bit, but I know that they had they got started on Monday of this week with things right away, right off the bat. So good move, simple out there. First for Daniel as the new extension director coordinator. I'm not sure exactly how he runs that title, but so he's getting a bit of a fire hose effect there on those kind of things, but he's doing a great job. And when you got good staff, you can kind of step out of the way and they run with it, and he does there. So previously also approved is the appraiser parcel and treasurer tax search. So we'll be moving into the phases of implementation, setup, conversion, and getting that system up and going. And then I have been in contact with a vendor working on the possibility of some technology grants to see if maybe that might be able to help offset some of our projects we do, potentially with the EM remodel. If the IT department would move over into CPE, if that moves forward in some of those. So I'm very new to grants. Brittany and I will be working closely. She smiles happily when I mention grants, but you know, that's a potential area there where it might be able to save on budget and cost on things. So why not explore it? So I am exploring that. GIS, quite busy. They just went out to the national conference in San Diego, California. I could say a lot of things about San Diego and California, but it is I will say this though, it's very expensive, but it's the only conference that Esri has that they can go to. They have their struggles when they go out there in regards to getting around when it comes to a lot of extra fees out there in that location. I've seen an energy fee, a work compensation fee. The energy fee is if you bought hot food. The recycle fee if you bought something that was plastic, like a bottle of water, and things that are on some of their receipts and so forth. So that was an eye opener that they're doing some of those things. But they had a great conference. Jake was a presenter out there this year, which I talked about before. So that's exciting. Riley County was represented out there at the national conference, and he was a presenter and talking about things that we do here, which got a lot of feedback and question to him about how we do things and what we do. And I mean, to tell you what, that's exciting. We all know our GIS department is so good, but that national recognition and things is incredible. They're still putting together their information to share with me, but one of them that Sherry brought back was fire prediction paths, and based on foliage, which they can do and determine a large area of cedar trees or what the coverage is or the grass type, they can put together fire direction predictions based on wind speeds that happen and so forth. So some interesting maps and things that they're beginning to work on that would be able to help in those areas. If you're planning for, you know, emergency management and fire planning, you know, how they might handle areas and so forth. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of that and what could be a useful tool for them if they get into a situation and need to start making decisions. So love it when we can quickly put new things into practice and so forth. They are also working closely with appraiser's office in review of some of our imagery, some of our layout and so forth, or some of the measurements and things that are happening with the imagery. Just getting some little details. So we had switched over to Eagle View in this last flight. And so again, when you make a change, you work through some details, some products, some tools, some functionality, And again, I think they now have a progressive county like Riley County bringing a lot of information to them. So, you know, when we see something we like and we know it can be effective, we're going to go after it. And that's what we're doing there. But anything and everything that we can do in regards to technology and tools, the imagery, measurements and things to help the appraiser's office, we're really trying to do that. But working through some of those pieces there. The LiDAR imagery was one that I had talked about, which is a pretty expensive. We decided that it was not the time for Riley County to get involved in LiDAR, even though the city is looking into it. We want to coordinate that when the state would put forth a project, they would come through and use that. So we don't want it to be something that we would invest in and it not be useful to our time. So with that, I'll stop talking as I can ramble on because a lot going on with us. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer. So. All right. Thank you.
Ready for Vivian? Go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. Vivian Leyva, Public Information Officer. I wanted to start the report by talking about the Local Emergency Planning Committee. Commissioner Foki attended our last meeting. This is my first year as chairperson for the committee, and I'm learning a lot about how the group functions and how the different emergency response agencies and private industry in the area work together. We have, the board has been working to review and revise some draft bylaws that are in place. And we have those to Jacob to review and hope to bring them to the LEPC for the October meeting and get those. They will come before you once Jacob is satisfied with them, and you'll have a chance to review and make any changes or suggestions you'd like to make. And then we'll take them to the membership and hopefully get those in place by the end of the year. Kind of excited about that. We're also planning some tours for the group for some of the facilities. Represents emergency responders like fire, police, emergency management, emergency medical services, but also household hazardous waste and Kansas Gas and Evergy, and is a really wonderful way for these groups to learn about each other, learn about the facilities, and establish relationships. Each organization is responsible for training. Like, for example, the hospital has to do a certain number of training exercises per year, whether those are tabletop or in person or full scale. So getting these people together presents opportunities for other people to attend and learn from those, and also build the relationships during blue sky days. So if there were a large scale emergency, people would know each other, know how to get in touch with each other, and know how to work together. So we're planning to schedule a tour of the household hazardous waste facility with Michael Bowler, and then a tour with Kansas Gas before the end of the year. So giving them a chance to learn about some of the other organizations and how they work. Corey kind of gave you a nice update about civic clerk coming. We've been working hard to figure out the system, make sure it works for Riley County, and learning that we might have to make a few adjustments to the way that we do things, but hopefully it'll all, knock on wood, go smoothly for the transition. We can expect a couple of bugs, but I think we'll get it all worked out in the end. So thank you for your patience on all of that. We have several community engagement projects that I was helping with in July, and then moving forward, we've got quite a few more. There are seasonal concerns coming up. We're already thinking about kind of promotion for flu and virus season. Jacob Clark, Dr. Clark typically goes with me to KSNT to share information about that. We've got public education campaigns, the Flutoberfest, and kind of doing my best to look into the future and plan for those seasonal things that we know are coming and just get it. Well-oiled machine is always the goal. So we'll see, but things pop up in the meantime. I have Commissioner Foki made a request for a handout to try and explain to the public about some of the ARPA projects that Riley County has been able to fund and complete. I have a draft of that ready that I emailed to you, and also started posting information on the Riley County Facebook page. Just started with EMS Station 1 to talk about what it is and how we were able to build it and express gratitude for that. And we've gotten a lot of public engagement, so that's a good thing. We'll continue to let folks know about our successes and the new facilities we've been able to build with those ARPA funds, which I think is a very good thing to celebrate. Driver's license, that change, I think has prompted the page to be popular recently. At the end of August, so August 29th, the treasurer's office will stop offering driver's license services. They were not a full service office to begin with. You didn't go there to take your first driver's test or complete some of those things. But if you had a renewal or were moving to a real ID from an existing ID that you had, you could bring your paperwork there and get that taken care of. But now people will go to the full service office, and we're directing them there starting in September for all their driver's license needs. Let's see. And it looks like I have a little bit of time. Not quite. So I'm trying to catch up with where we are. I do have plenty of time. So I'd like to take an opportunity to ask for your feedback if there are specific projects you would like the public to know more about. I appreciated your input about the ARPA funded projects. And I think that Commissioner McKinley, your presentation at the policy breakfast was well received. And thank you for sharing the notes with me. So we'll use that to help raise public awareness about those really positive things. Are there other things on your mind or on your agenda that you would like me to spend some time educating the public about? Okay, you know how to find me when those come up. We'll keep it short and sweet. Thank you very much.
Commissioner, you have Jake Lindsay at 10:05.
Hey, Jake, Lindsay.
At 10:05.
Oh. But some of the presidents that you can do. I didn't check next one. I didn't miss this one.
You also renew it online. You can renew it with your driver's license online too.
Did you enter address on them?
Okay.
Can you send it?
I need to, yeah.
Or no, or how, yeah.
You're.
You can picture yourself or have use. So that's what I did in the beginning. And I just used my same driver's license. So,
Did you get your real ID?
that's good actually. So
Oh.
the only reason I know about it is because we have all the basic people done. They're probably from the US, but we also have in other states that you can renew, change your address. Sure. Say something different.
Okay.
Yeah, so mentioned about all of that, just lunch truck, I mean, it starts today. Starts today is tomorrow. You have the Photoshop scheduled these minutes. She's gonna come on the agency together. And we got a nice message from the organizer and Red Cross. And you city to work with this summer. And the ones that are cities in the area, I mean,
But she said that we've done a great job of holding. It's easier to. So it's always nice to hear.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
I just found the rest interesting. How they even have a forest in their last school? I drove once. They have a forest in the last school. I drove up. Yeah, I drove from here to practice it and all that. It's not good. Went through the sand hill alone. They had especially when they had one lane road for miles. Miles.
And then they could have a great body.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, well, yeah, I mean, you did. I said, big, like, it's not too different. It's not too different from Kansas in a lot of respects, but Sand Hills are definitely. Yeah.
And then I had to go to usually take those, you know, the shows were hard, it's just not being.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah. Pretty
I'm
well.
not sure the same retreat, like,
Because it's a one party system, one, right? One house. One legislative. Yeah. That is pretty interesting. Although, like the case up in the harbor, it rules everything. Yeah.
as in, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
I think he's going to say that's honestly.
Yeah.
Firstly.
Yeah.
You're like, we're the full, the vast majority.
Although I feel like Grant. Hospital spot. Remember, I looked at a real estate, apparently Grant, it's like whatever county that is. It's like really, like very hot real estate, there's or something.
We moved our street to, grandfather's.
Oh, is that?
Yeah, to the south. We could just get that. Very fun.
Yeah, it's,
More class and actually give them more questions.
yeah,
Things like that. It's really close to.
right. Yeah. Just close enough for today, which is pretty hot, so it's honestly just good.
It's living together, all those things.
I had tried to with it and found all of them for a little while, just got actually. And he said, no, I'm going back again.
Yeah. I worked out in Western Colorado for a while and the creek is really small. And so it's kind of small towns like Kansas, but really the mountain was in my background. It's really, so I don't know, just it seemed to be was after that.
Yeah.
It's interesting, I guess, huge cities and and people,
Right.
but most of these can be, so it's maybe good styles, you know.
It's like I looked at it.
It's like a little.
Yeah.
Mr. Lindsay, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Good morning. Let me just go ahead and go. So I'm going to keep this a little more brief than I was intending. I was going to send you guys some documentation, but one of the last storms fried my hard drive. So I'll kind of just give you a brief overview. My name is Jake Lindsay. I'm a townie. I'm born and raised in Manhattan. And I kind of want to bring you guys your awareness or bring some awareness on the way the custody court system here in Riley County is working. So comparatively to Johnson County or other states, we kind of have a dysfunctional custody court system here. It's not really working as intended. I'll give you a brief overview of my situation and kind of expand upon that. So when I went to custody court, depending on which judge you got, I got Judge Bosch. Riley County is kind of a standardized every other weekend type situation. There's really no evaluation on what's best for the children or the parties involved. We have what we call an adversarial system in custody court. So meaning the worse you can slander and make the other parent look kind of, that's who wins. You have a day in court. There's no custody evaluation. There's no guardian ad litem appointed. There's no case managers. These are all very standard things that they use in more modernized custody court, like in Johnson County, Pennsylvania, a lot of states are changing all this stuff. Now, the issue I have with it, and not just me, the majority of dads who've been through this in our county, is like I said, you kind of roll into custody court, you get maybe 2-3 hours with the judge, and then there's a decision made from that. Now, like I said earlier, the problem is there's like a standardized, almost like a fast food service type of way this works. After I've done a lot of research into this and I've probably spoken to 600 dads in the area, lawyers, prosecutors, guardian ad litems, mediators, is you kind of go in and like I said, I just kind of got stuck with every other week. And that's just kind of like my lawyer's like, well, that's what you're going to get. We could ask for more, and even the judge, Judge Bosch, he kind of reinforced that to me. He said, and I even have the transcript. He quoted, he said, Mr. Lindsay, I'm a every other weekend judge. That's what I've given. And I've never, and I quote, he said, he's never modified a parenting plan. And it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I'm thinking, your job is to evaluate these cases on a case by case basis. And you've never seen a case where, the kid needed more than every other weekend with a judge. And I actually went back to Bosch again. I was like, I'm going to challenge this. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't get him to change, his opinion on this. So I originally went to court with him. I got every other weekend, the same thing. 90% of the guys I've talked to get, that's just what they get. And then I went in and presented my case and had all this evidence and I just got the same thing. Again, I got every other weekend. And the issue on top of that is first of all, you can't be a father every other weekend. Being a father, I think, is or being a parent is one of the most important jobs you have in society. And you just can't adequately, raise your children on every other weekend. The other issue with the way our system works in Riley County is there's all these little offsets of negative just from the way this is working. So you have financial. Every dad's going to spend all the money he can to try to get more time with his kids. I spend about 40, 50, which is a lot for me, trying to get just a couple more days. And all that money could be better spent on the children. Like I could loan a couple properties and all that, the offset of that. And the issue also with that is you spend that money and you're just not going to get it because of a judge's opinion on how things should work. Not, let's look at the situation. Let's evaluate this case on its own. It's just that's their opinion. And I have a big problem with that. I've spoken to Judge Bosch outside of court and I said, you're affecting, I don't mean to get passionate about this, but it's my children. I'm very passionate about this issue. So you're making not even a decision. You're just kind of going through the process of something that's going to affect someone's life for the rest of their life, your children's and, the father's or mother. But generally speaking, this is a mother county. Mothers get the bulk of the custody time, regardless of the situation. And what I'd like to suggest is this is kind of my first step. I've talked to other dads in other states who've actually gone through, they talk to the commissioner, they talk to the state, and they kind of start getting the laws changed and the standards changed in their county. And so I would like to suggest that and kind of present to you some of the benefits of having, they call it the 50-50 standard. They do this increasingly more all over the United States. So generally speaking, when you have the 50-50 standard, that's like the starting point. Now, that doesn't always mean it's going to be 50-50 time split because that's not how it works realistically, but that's where you start. And when you have that standard in custody court, you get a lot less conflict between the parents. There's almost no protection orders issued. So you'll see in cases like in Riley County or counties where it's adversarial, there's almost always a protection order issued or multiple protection orders during the separation process. And you could go to any divorce attorney in town. That's like the step one they say, well, and I've interviewed most of them. They said, yeah, that's what we do. If a woman comes in and gets divorced, we say, hey, we need to file a protection order. Not because it's needed, because it gives you leverage. And since we have the adversarial system, the worse you can make the other parent look, the better. So those kind of all go away when you have the 50-50 standard because, it's only reserved for when there actually is like a protection order is actually needed. And they find there's a bunch of studies about this, which I don't have in front of me right now, but they find that about 80% of protection orders that are filed in custody cases are actually just for legal leverage. So you have the money on that. Then you have the negative effects on kids, which, you know, it seems like everyone's aware of this fact when, you know, there's a parent gone or father gone or mother gone, there's a lot of negative outsets to kids, but it seems like society accepts the father being gone. It's like, well, what are you going to do? And that's kind of honestly the answer I've gotten from every prosecutor, judge, everyone I've talked to in this county about this. Like, well, that's just how it works. You just get every other weekend. You know how it goes. And I don't really accept that narrative at all. I don't think that's how we have to do things. And if you look at the highest correlating factor, and this is not debated among any of the studies, this is how it is. The highest correlating factor for intergenerational poverty, teen pregnancy, teen criminality, all mental health issues, suicidality is whether or not a child has adequate, and they define adequate as about 50% of the time, adequate access to their father. So what I would like to just present to you guys is all these facts, and, you know, I'm looking to get some guidance here. I don't know the process to change the way we do things in Riley County. I don't know that. So this is my step one. Like I said, I've interviewed, and it's not me. Almost every dad I've talked to in this town has gone through the same thing. They get separated. There's some sort of protection order. They don't see their kids for 6 months. This is like the standard process. They get every other weekend. And then the problem also with that is not the rent, is you can't, that's not something you can change easily. They say, well, we can come back and readdress this. But in my case, I've gone through 3 separate cases in Riley County, all just trying to get 2 or 3 more days with my kids. And it's just not going to happen. If the judge doesn't have the opinion that, you know, like Judge Bosch, and I'm not trying to knock Judge Bosch personally. I like him personally, but I don't think as a judge in custody court, he was doing his job adequately. But it's been 2 or 3 times where the children are asking for more time. There's no sort of negativity on the fathers. And I can understand if there's some sort of abuse or anything like that. There's literally nothing. It's just mom says no, kids ask for more. Dad's asking for more, just a couple days, and the answer is no. Like I was told, and it's very disheartening as a father too, to go into court and spend all this money and just want a couple more days with your children and be told, well, I just don't do that. Sorry. You know, it's infuriating. These are my children. This is my life. This is their life. And then I've been going through this now personally for 9 years. And you can see it. All the things I told you about, all the correlating factors for negativity and negative outcomes with children for their fathers being gone, you can see it live acting. Like both my daughters developed a lot of separation anxiety, and there's just no way you can treat it. Even if you have them evaluated and the evaluation says, yeah, these kids are having some bad separation anxiety based off this custody issue, a lot of times they don't take that into consideration. So what I would like to do, again, this is my step one. I'm writing a book about this right now, which is almost finished, but I'd like to get it changed in Riley County, or start taking the steps that maybe get this to 50-50 standard. There's a lot less money spent. There's a lot less issues overall. The entire process gets streamlined. Now, the big thing is, again, the effects on the children. If you look at, you could rank order and look at all the studies. Again, this is not the stats. There's no counter evidence to counter all this stuff. It's all, everyone agrees across the board. You can look at all the issues I noted and more, then you can rank order it, percentage of 50-50 custody, and those issues start just dropping away. And I think as it's getting more popular now, but in society, and I don't see why, but this issue just kind of been like, this is just what happens when you get divorced. You lose your kid, you get every other weekend, and the effects on the kids, they suck, but that's just how it is. So that's kind of my short, like I said, I have more studies and stuff to show you guys, but that's kind of the gist of it. So I'm looking to you guys for some guidance. I don't know the exact process on how to get this changed. I was told to come speak to you guys about it. from all the people I call, at least make you aware of the issue. And again, this isn't me. I have a large, probably 1,500 guys from Riley County in my group. We have our group that we talk about this stuff, and it's all similar. I think it's unfair to fathers, and worse, it's destroying kids over time in our society. And so that's my spiel, I suppose. So do you guys have any questions for me or?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
You're saying that maybe there is a process for this. That they don't look at, like, say, your case on an individual basis. They just say, this is the way it is, and we're not looking at that.
Well, the problem is when I say they don't look at it, generally speaking, and everywhere like that they have the 50-50 standard, or even when they have a better child custody court system, there's a case manager involved. And that's the big thing we're missing here. I couldn't get a case manager. I asked for one. I had to independently go find someone. It's like 10 grand. And a lot of states have people that work for the state that do this. And so the case manager, what they do is they interact with the parents and the children on a regular basis. You can report to them. They talk to you about once a week. They kind of know what's going on versus the way, and then they can report directly to the judge and say, hey, this is kind of how this is working. This is what I've observed. And they have like a process they do, to report to the judge. But when you don't have those, or like guardian ad litem, is you literally have 2 hours or maybe 3 to talk to a judge. And most of that is, it seems to me, in my experience, if you say, hey, look, Your Honor, I just want to get more time with the kids. I'm not looking to smear them. I just want a couple more days. What happens is, you know how this works in court. It's, oh, he did this and she did that. And it's just about making the other person look as bad as possible. And you can't evaluate a 3-year relationship or a 5-year marriage in 2 hours. And the judges don't have time to look at all the documentation. You can bring text transcripts and all that stuff, but generally speaking, they look at like 20% of the evidence. So they do look at it in some cases, but like in my case, there was no evaluation. I was told by both my lawyers, I switched lawyers, and the judge, and they're like, look, this is just kind of how it goes. Bosch is an every other weekend judge. And it blew my mind. I'm like, you're getting paid this salary to sit here and like divvy out justice. Now, I'm not sure how it is in criminal court, but I was just told I'm getting every other weekend. And that's not just me. Any dude I've spoken to about this, any father, who's had Bosch has kind of got the same spiel. It's like, look, I'm an every other weekend judge. This is what I get. Now, I know he's retired now, but without the case managers and without the all the resources that you need to really evaluate this stuff, you typically end up just kind of getting that's why they have it, from what I understand, a set every other weekend, because they don't have the resources to actually look at it. So they have a standardized amount of time they give guys, which in terms of time with your kids, I think that's not adequate. I think you need to have a much more, you need to evaluate the situation more on a case by case.
Do they give you like holidays or summer exceptions or anything like that?
There's a standardized, but it's not, they don't give you Halloweens. They give you like a Zoom call a week.
Christmases.
Rotate. You get the standard rotating, but sometimes, so in Riley County, they don't give you Halloween for some reason. They just don't include it. But it's rotating. But, and I would say, again, being on the other side, you really don't. If you're not around your kids, if you have every other weekend and rotating holidays, you don't get to be a parent. You just don't. Just by the nature of it, you can't do that kind of job. So they have a set schedule, but it's not adequate.
So I used to practice law for a number of years. So I have certainly some familiarity with what you're saying. In your statistics, did you have any issues with having a guardian ad litem appointed for the children, or how does that typically shake out for what research?
Well, when at the 50-50 standard, like in Pennsylvania, is where I got most of my information from, because one guy literally came through and changed the entire state. They're not normally appointed when it's 50-50 standard. It doesn't get to that level of conflict. You get a case manager off the bat, but when you start at 50-50, there's normally not a guardian ad litem even Because guardian ad litem's come in to be a lawyer, obviously you know this, for the children, and that's like in more high conflict cases. But when there's a case manager involved and it's 50-50 standards, there's almost no guardian ad litems in it.
Are you familiar with if I would say, untested, but usually parties come to some sort of agreement at some point, right? I mean, whether or not there's conflict, right? So child custody agreement. Do you know, does Bosch typically, if we're all agreeing that 50-50, does he tend to let whatever people agree with go, or does he say, no, you need to stick with 50-50?
Rephrase that. I'm sorry. I'm not.
So typically in divorce cases, well, I mean, in every divorce case, there is usually a child custody agreement, and now sometimes that's drafted between parties, and sometimes it's ordered by the court, then they do an order, and that's how it's in, right? But between the parties themselves, they have the ability to negotiate between themselves what custody is.
Well,
so my question is, in the events where that's happened, if you found this in your research, I don't know how you would, it would be very difficult to find, but specifically with Bosch, has he had any issues when parties come up and say, here's what we agreed to, and it's not the every other weekend? And he goes, yeah, that's fine, you guys can do that.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Every other weekend is what you're. Yeah. Well, actually, that's a great question. No, I've not. Typically speaking, from the guys I've spoken to, so what Bosch did, to his credit, he didn't. When we walked in, he gave us a chance to go to mediation. He court-ordered mediation. The problem is that doesn't get evaluated. So we came up with a much more fair agreement in mediation. Then she just didn't sign it and went to court. But that's a fair point. No, the guys I've spoken to in Riley County, I don't know about anywhere else, that have come up with a mutually exclusive agreement with their spouse on their own. They just, the judges have always signed off on that. It seems like, and that's a fair point. It seems that's, but that's most, as you know, that's like not most case. I wish, please, I wish. It seems like everyone but me, you know what I mean? I wish. So, and I've attempted, I every time I went to get a lawyer, not to get personal on it, I've said, hey, can I just give you this money and I get 2 more days and we just not do all this stuff? Like 10 grand in cash. And they're just, I think, and let me speak on one more point, not to get, I kind of got sidebarred there. I think one issue is, and before maybe you guys have this question, is some people say, well, why do you accept every other weekend? Right? They say, why do you say okay? And what happens is, and I kind of I forgot to mention this, is in my case, in most cases here especially, and this is where the protection orders, I think, and you know all about those things, I'm sure, in divorce. The protection orders are a big problem in custody cases. I don't know about criminal cases, but they're used as a tool to isolate and this is from a lawyer's mouth. They're kind of used as a tool to isolate the father, because it's typically fathers who get these issued, from their kids. So then they'll be more willing to accept an unfair deal because they just want to see their kids. So the standard story, I got a protection order, never had one before, never had one after with her, after we got the custody stuff solved. I didn't see my kids for 8 weeks and I raised them their whole life. So then they come at you and say, here, we'll have a temporary schedule for 2 days, 2 afternoons a week. And then by the time you get to court, you're sitting there on 9 months, 12 months, and you just want to see your children. I mean, they've grown up over a year, you've barely seen them. So it's really disheartening that's why I accepted it. I didn't want it, but they're like, at least this is some time with your kids. And here's how I equate it to people to maybe understand how it feels. I don't know if you guys have children or not, but it's like someone stealing your bank account, your savings, and saying, hey, here's some of it back. You might as well take a little bit of it back, right? So this addresses that point. That's how most guys feel. You get told by the judge, that's what you're getting. You get told by the lawyer, that's what you're getting. And you just want to see your children. You haven't seen them, you haven't had any overnights or anything like that. You don't have any more money at this point. Most guys don't have the reserves for this. And so you accept it. You say, okay, I'll sign it. But because you just feel like that's what you're going to get and that's what you're going to get. So, yeah.
I mean, my advice to the board as far as for this action or something to kind of get some results.
Namely, and I'm sure you're probably aware of this, is of course the state legislature level, because a lot of these determinations is, you read it in the law that it's supposed to be a case by case basis, and how you're supposed to evaluate and give certain weight to certain aspects of the arrangement. So it would need to be probably spearheaded by legislative change.
Okay.
In addition to that, it would necessarily be, how in courts, they require mediation, right? Usually, and that's usually done in the judicial rules of that district. It's not necessarily across the board of Supreme Court rules, but usually it's left to the district. So the district has the ability to require, litigants go through certain things, such as mediation.
Right.
And so there is a possibility, and I don't know exactly to what extent, where, there could be maybe some adjustment made to, from that aspect, from the judicial rules for in our case, the 21st district. That's, I think, where you would see most of the action. I'm not certain Riley County itself could impose regulations on the subject. It would necessarily be state legislative directing on, again, what weight is given, what kind of preferences are going to be in custody, right? Just as they do that for the child payment guidelines, like guidelines, they enforce those and they present those, right? And so it would have to be something similar to that.
That's a really fair point because I had notes and I forgot on mediation. So just like with, as you know, with the custody court, it's different everywhere. Some mediators and some. So I've done mediation in three different. I have done it in McPherson County, Riley County, twice in Riley County, one in McPherson County, and it's night and day. So some mediators, you show up and you sit in separate rooms and you go back and forth like one or two times, and that's it. Some places they have case managers. Is a very elongated, more thorough process. They do background checks. They talk to the children. They look at all the court documentation. They can issue guardian ad litems if they feel necessary. So yeah, that's a really fair point. I think that would honestly be, if you wanted to get something changed on a more local level than the state, that would be just having case managers as on every single mediation case would be night and day. Because like I said, when I did it in McPherson, substantially different, way better. I got much better results. They actually understood what was going on. They took the time versus here, it was just very much like before you show up and you just kind of 2 or 3 hours and you're out of there. That's kind of the whole deal.
Have you had any?
Yes. Not much. We had one temporarily issued, but then the case I moved it from Riley County to McPherson because they have a better court system there. So they kind of got dropped. But
and I'll just take it like the advice for too, as far as guardian ad litem, it's been my experience that they kind of fulfill that. They should be fulfilling that role of case manager. Essentially, they're going to take information from each party, and then also, of course, because they're appointed to represent the child, possibly split between the parties. And then, so they're supposed to gather all this information and then eventually present it to the court and say, here's what I think is in best interest. The qualm kind of with that is, it depends on what the guardian ad litem get and how much everything.
Yeah,
they're not all the same.
That's what I've heard. It's kind of like the judge, you're rolling the dice. But I've never heard a bad thing. And when all the reading and all the research I've done, the case managers seem to be the real thing that kind of bridges the gap in terms of making it more fair and evaluating everything. Because I have heard from guys in Riley County that have used the guardian ad litem, like, well, it depends on who you get. I've had two, and one person was really fair, and they clearly were looking out for the best interest of the kids, and the other person seemed like they just didn't like me, or they weren't really taking the time. They just kind of briefly overviewed stuff, and it's kind of going through the motions. And I feel like on a personal level, this is not something we should be going through the motions for. I mean, these things affect humans, kids, mothers, fathers, indefinitely. Nothing has ever affected my life as much as just this custody situation. And it really breaks down families over time, men over time. The suicide rate among men in situations like mine, it's like 21 a day. It's you don't really hear much about it, you know. You don't really hear much about dads. That's not obviously the route to go, but just trying to translate how serious of an issue it is. This kind of gets passed under the like it's under the bridge, like, just how it is. You're going to lose time. And it doesn't have to be that way because we have examples like in Pennsylvania, Johnson County is great, of ways to do it much more thoroughly. And you don't have as much conflict, and the standardized time that people go to court is even shorter. They go to court for 2-3 years and they almost never come back, versus I'm going on 8 years now, still trying to get those 2 more days a week, you know. And it's just, you know, it seems like the system itself is like a circular. You just here. You're never going to go anywhere but just right back and waste all your money. And a lot of dads, it's sad to see a lot of dads like, I could never do it, but I could relate. There's the idea. It's like, you shouldn't have to fight to just have a relationship with your children. You shouldn't have to. A lot of guys just give up. They don't have the resources. They can't do it. So.
Well, as you say, Johnson County, each judicial district makes their own. Yeah, but we don't make who does it.
Yeah, not Riley County, it'd be the judicial district.
The judges themselves make the rule, or the guidelines or whatever. That was been my question. Is there anything you can do?
Yeah, I get it. As far as us go, I can't think of any other than maybe, you know, we could take it as a legislative policy stance and try to argue. I think as far as actually, yeah,
Make it consistent across all judicial districts, except that idea. How many judicial districts are there? You can. So everyone is, everyone has a different idea, and that can be.
Yeah, and you can't equate, you know, Johnson County, of course, to Stevens County, you know, right? Like, that's not going to be the same thing. So they have to have some variability within those rules, but it would be either the judicial districts themselves, but also the Supreme Court rules as well. Kind of the administrative procedures that are supposed to happen within the courts. That's what their rulemaking is for.
You know, I think what also would be beneficial is, so when like I said, there wasn't like a standardized case manager I could hire that worked in Riley County for Riley County. Even if I know the argument I hear, well, the county doesn't have the money to hire a case manager, so I had to independently hire one. And the cost was too much for me to even consider. But if they just even had some sort of case manager that worked for Riley County, like almost like a public defender, excuse me, like that you could use, maybe not even for free, but at a reduced cost of getting one independently. I think that would be really helpful. That's something probably easy to do as a start, because the argument I've heard from most people is like, well, they don't have the money and they're not going to want to spend the money on it. So.
What's the name of that organization now? What's CASA, the court appointed for children? CASA, yeah.
Court appointed state advocate.
Yeah. That's what we had. I don't know if they still do that.
I don't think they're still around. I don't think they're around.
Yeah,
I've heard they are.
They changed the
Station.
children, sorry, some points.
They changed the location, I think they changed the name.
You're talking about the spot where they do supervised visits and all that kind of stuff. There's a location on points for that. I had to go through that process. The judge will say supervised visits.
Services.
Yeah. As far as I'm aware, they don't do any sort of case management.
Yeah, they used to, be appointed by the court, and they would do these kinds of.
Right. Well, when I went, and I haven't spoken to any people, and I've even asked when I talked to the prosecutors and stuff like that and lawyers, there was no standardized case manager for each case. They could appoint you to go for like supervised visits if they thought that was necessary. But that's the only thing I know. I'm aware that they do. I might be wrong, but
Sunflower Children Collective.
Yep, that's the one right there on points. Yeah, they did. If there's a situation where there's supervised visits, they'll facilitate that. I'm not aware that they do any sort of case management.
We used to do that, but I don't know. I haven't been around them a lot. I used to listen, some people that used to do that.
Right.
For us.
So your advice would be I need to start going after the state legislators.
State legislators and then also advocate to probably the Supreme Court.
Okay.
And say, hey, it's administrative changes. As far as, again, I kind of relate it back to like child support kind of things, instead of child support, that's what child custody. Right? Try to go at it in an analogy. So
What would be the process? You're talking about changing each judicial, like how would you go across addressing that?
honestly, I'd have to do some research on it.
That's right.
I've never had research.
Right. I ended up here because I started calling around. I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I would call in the states. They said, well, maybe you go talk to county commissioners first before you come this direction. So, well, that's all I have. I appreciate you guys' time. And like I said, I had a more thorough presentation for you, but my hard drive was wiped. So I appreciate it. And I could, what I appreciate you guys are actually engaging me and asking me questions, because a lot of times when you bring this up to people, they're just like, they don't care. They judges or people at the courthouse, they don't care. It's in one ear out the other, but you guys are clearly engaged. And I really, I was worried that you guys weren't going to be receptive to this issue and give me any guidance on how to change any of these things. So. Okay, well, I appreciate your time.
Thanks for coming in. Ready for David, Commissioner?
Good morning, Commissioners. David Adams, EMS Director with my monthly update. This is a different setup. I haven't been up here yet. So calls for service for the month of June, we had 375. It's down a little bit. We're down about 7% from this time last year. So just across the board, I looked at it a little bit and really didn't see any one area over another. Our out of town transfers are down about 12%, but that's still a small percentage of all of our calls. So breakdown by stations. No change really in the order. Medic 11 at headquarters, 130 calls. Medic 21 out of 11 points, 102. As you recall, we had to make a little bit of an adjustment to some of the response areas because of the construction on TCB. And that limits Medic 31 out of Public Works. They can't get down to TCB. So we made some adjustments where the headquarters station covers farther north because we can get there faster by going Kimball to TCB and around. But then we also had to adjust Medic 21's area to, so we could not have those concurrent calls in the same area as much. So that's why you see a little bit higher with Medic 21. That's why it's still a little lower at Medic 31 out of Public Works. So we have brought them down a couple of times when we're busy in town, brought them down to the headquarters station or now where we can kind of house them during the day to help them offset some of those calls for these other two stations. Airport at 63 and Leonardville at 32. Both of those were pretty typical for those stations. Things we have going on. We have the fair, obviously, is this week. So weather dependent, we'll have a crew out there in the afternoons just to be there for the fair goers when it's hot and such. And then we'll also have crews there, different crews there for the rodeo. Those in the evenings. So those are all set up and today we're just going to kind of play by ear as far as the crew there for the weather, for the heat, but if so, we'll be ready to be out there. So as you knew, in May, we did the active violence training really, really well. So there's been some follow-up discussion with that from within the different organizations about what we learned since this training was done outdoors for the first time ever. Different scenarios for the first time ever. So there's been discussion among the administrative teams and those departments, what we learned and how we need to incorporate some of the changes we do countywide. So we're working hard with the operational setup of the new headquarters. Things like our Pyxis medication machine. There's a lot of training going involved. We're about 2 weeks away from going live with it completely. So that's really good. But there's a lot of training to go to set up the system, to teach the employees how to use it. And that's what they're working on now. So Elizabeth just sent me today the first draft of our 360-degree employee evaluations. I'm really excited about this. And I think this is something maybe the county will go countywide with. But every year we do evaluations where the supervisor evaluates you. But we really don't get a good idea on how the department's doing unless you hear from the employees on how they feel about how their supervisors are doing. So, I can, because I can't evaluate some of my street staff. That's what their supervisors are for. And I have a hard time evaluating some of our supervisors because I don't see things from the employee's perspective. So, this is important for us to do. I'm excited for it. I'm the one who asked for it because the only way I really know my department is if I can see it from all different angles. And I think this is going to help us kind of see and get a pulse for our department. Like I said, I think I have a feel, but I think so. Absolutely.
It's not really 60, it's an upward evaluation.
Okay.
Because we're not doing peers yet.
Okay, not yet.
So
Okay.
these other departments are also interested, but this is an upward.
Okay. Thank you.
Because we got it, but
Right. And we may get to a 360 where we will really do look at our peers.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. It's baby steps. So.
Yep.
The quality improvement safety course, Josh and Alex just finished that year-long program. And they submitted to me their product, and what they looked at was in our patients who have cardiac related difficulty, how many are getting certain interventions are being done to help diagnose the difficulty with them. And if we're meeting those thresholds to the national average, and if not, why? And then what do we do to help meet those thresholds? So it'll be interesting to see as they continue to work through this and make some changes or evaluations how that impacts our department. So I thought it was a good program for them. They learned a lot, and they'll be bringing that into our department here. They've already started implement some different changes and some more education, but it really is a lot about education of our staff. And then the quality control, the quality review of that, and that sort of shift and what we do with the information that we have. So we'll continue to participate in the working groups and task forces, continuing with observing field performance. And then in last month, we had no event standbys. But that ends this week, obviously, with the fair. And then I think I skipped over it. The event standby bids. We have events that are coming up. So what we do is our staff are assigned a certain number of event hours that they have to work. So the captains work less hours than the street paramedics do. So Josh has compiled all of those that we have, so high school football, college football, and then what we have for men's and women's basketball events. Let's put those out for the staff. So here they are. This is how many hours you have to work. And if Fisher Foki, I'll pick on you. If you don't sign up for some and we're running short, we will assign those to you. So you can bid for as many as you want. We'll give to you. We'll make sure you get your certain number of hours. But if you don't want to work any, then you'll be assigned those events. So you usually will get signed up then. But that's how we do it. And then once those are done, we do allow them to make some trades and such within. But that's now they're doing their bidding, and Josh will work on that here in about a week or so and get everything set up get us started through the season. So education, we're continuing to work on that cardiac response guidelines with Via Christi Manhattan, as well as KU Med out of Topeka. So, still logistics going on there, and we're waiting to hear back from Topeka on some of these things. So we can do what they've asked us to do. We're starting to do some training with our staff to remind them how to do these things, but it only goes so far if it's not done on the back end. So, if you want us to do it, great, but we ask that you show us that you're willing to do your part as well. So, everything else is pretty static. Community outreach, car seat check lanes. We will have Purple Power Play coming up here in a month. We have today's Battle of the Badges blood drive. So we should have a crew there, I believe at noon. So, but it's a time where we'll start to see more community outreach as we go forward. And then a breakdown of our calls. Nothing really stood out of the ordinary. I didn't get to look at it real close, but I didn't see anything that really stood out to me as different. The weather being hot has played a kind of a role in some of this, I think. But I did see in the hours of the day where we started to pick up a little earlier than we did normally. So 7 o'clock, I believe, 5 o'clock is when it really started to pick up and such. So as it's cooled down, people are starting to get outside, or they've been outside, they're working in the heat. And we did see a fair number of those types of calls, working in the heat. 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, they come inside, they get sick. So, but, and then breakdown, sick person falls, transfers. So I don't think anything's really changed from there as well. So do you have any questions for me? All right, thank you.
David, thank you, David. Elizabeth, up 10:50.
Yeah, it's really a new judicial policy, and I see with most of it, so if you want legislation, like I'm pretty certain in front of the split 50-50. That one, it's like it's. I'm just thinking it is nice to that, depends how much it. So. But enough, so, okay, that's gonna be legitimate. Yeah, well, that's a good moment for us, because it's that also.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, and that age. That's almost things. Okay. Yeah, everything is clearly in yeah.
But it's fine. It's fast.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Well, I know that, should have handed that.
That's all I was checking my phones for the computer.
Yeah, I was.
Ready, commissioners?
All right, good morning, Commissioners. Elizabeth Ward, Human Resources Director. And I'm here to talk to you about a potential or requested modification to the approved participants in the NACO leadership. And this is just an overview to remind you what NACO is. But this is the 12-week pretty extensive commitment. We right now, actually just last week, approved approved 2 people attending NACO. And the cost when you approved it, what we had been told and what we had considered to be the cost was this $19.95 per person. When I went to go register the 2, I was made aware of a discount that they are the new pricing module, I guess they're calling it. And so the updated cost, if we register 2 people, is $1,500 per person. So great news, right? A savings. But then they also said if we register 5 people in the next 12 months with a commitment to send 5 people in the next 12 months, that brings the cost down to $1,000 per person. And so I wanted to at least put this in front of you as a potential because, and I'm not saying that I'm not trying to commit to you to next year's leadership, but we've approved 2 people over the last several years. If you would approve 2 people again next year, we would effectively be spending that same amount of money, a little bit more, and have fewer participants. So if you're willing to commit to sending 5 people between August 1 of this year and August 1 of next year, we could have 1 more person trained and spend $1,000 less. It's 12 months from signing the agreement. Yeah, I think did I put the dates up here? Or
August this year.
Yeah, so these are all the dates. Yeah, so
April next year.
yeah, we could do January, April, or August of 2026 for the other 3 and be compliant. And I did talk to the committee, the training selection committee, which is Vivian, Amy, and Amanda, who are all here, and they thought that if we reopened it, they would be able to get that we'd be able to fill that 3rd spot. And I talked to Brittany to make sure that we could, because we would have to pay that $5,000 out of our general fund because we may not know what departments that they would be coming from, but we can then do a journal entry back to the department because it comes from a specific, generally we have the specific departments pay this. I will do my best with the committee to figure out who's going before the end of, before the end of this calendar year. So then we wouldn't have to do a general entry. It could just happen. But if we had to, we would be able to do that before the end of the first quarter of 26. We'd have to pay the amount now out of 20. Yes. Yes. Yes, we would pay it all into now when I register them, register the 5 spots.
What if we don't get 5? We get money back or what?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have, my impression, I didn't ask that specific. My impression is we have to find the 5 people. So.
You think that's possible?
Yeah, I talked to the committee again who did it to selection this year and they thought it was possible. They didn't have an overwhelming number of people apply, but we also didn't open it up for next year either. So is that inaccurate?
And one, 5 people needed, not just 5, and well.
Agreed with that.
None would sit in this committee.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. We kind of keep obviously you can pull through Paylocity the list by job titles. And so anyone who is like a senior supervisor, manager, assistant director are kind of the people that we try to focus this training on. So my strategy to fill the positions would be to talk individually to every department head and ask them to really think about who is that next person in succession that needs the leadership and do they have someone that would benefit from this? And there's 3 department heads here, not 4 to 5, 6. Got it. I only looked at the front row. Sorry, ladies in the back. 6 department heads here. Potentially, I don't know if you would have been, I'm just not going to count. I don't know if you would have been intimidated by the cost because it was.
Or Jakey.
Okay, so we have a couple department heads here.
Joe on your cop today?
Okay, so I would like to ask any of the department heads present if this consideration of it's $1,000 less basically commitment from your budget, if that even makes an effect. I don't, I guess I didn't ask that before, but when you were considering sending people, because we know we put out the request, we talked about it in the department head meeting, is that part of your thought process as well? And I guess since we have so many here, do you feel like this would be a good thing to send? Yeah. I see Amy shaking her head. I know I talked to Amy and Amanda previously, so they were supportive.
I think it's good, but I agree with what Commissioner McKinley said. You have to be sure and identify it someone that has a long-term vision investment in Riley County if we're going to invest long-term in them.
Yeah.
Some people will just sign up for an opportunity to take it, do it. We all have different types of employees, but it needs to be heavily led and recommended by the department heads.
Yeah.
And the department heads really need to think about that as well if we're going to use the taxpayers' dollars for this.
We've talked about that every year over the last several years when we've made the recommendation. So I agree that's important. And I'm not, I don't know. I can't guarantee who these people would be. I know we would have that intent. I know we would try to work really well with the department heads.
Well, again, it takes time. It's, Corey, you took this class, and you were saying it took a lot of time. You didn't feel like you got a lot out of it, but would you encourage people in your department?
I felt I got a lot out of the materials, but the meetings that we had with other leaders and so forth at other entities, that part wasn't as fulfilling as that I hoped it to be, because they were all newer than myself. And but that's something you're not going to know going in. So I don't think you could weigh the whole piece on just those interactions. But the materials, a lot of materials, a lot of things you can take away from that. So I do believe that it's a good training from that aspect. My part was that you had to do those required pieces and go through. That part was a little bit more difficult, but I get it also. Not everybody is going to be as experienced, because some of them didn't have the steps that they were going through to get to the role. They were thrust in it from a low level to, holy smokes, I'm now a leader. I have no clue, so wherever organization they were with didn't really lead them or guide them or help them along the way to get there. I do overall, yes, it's a good training. Just there was a big, in regards to my experience, down as time consuming it is, but it's a lot. I mean, you get a lot out. I mean, that part's true. You get a lot out. You learn a lot from other leaders that are local, state, world leaders and so forth. But as in any other training, you want to make sure that you're putting your effort into that training to get something out of it. So ask us department heads or those or yourselves, like if we're going to nominate somebody, we need to be like, I want to hear what you got out of us, not just go through the motions. So do I support it? Yeah, I support it. I do. I've got one that I want to have go through some leadership here soon. I've talked with Elizabeth about that. I think we've narrowed down to the NACO or the Flint Hills are two. And I think you'll get two different things out of each one. I think they're both good, but I think you're going to see things, everybody that I was with was the engineering government, but it could have been in a variety of various states. So, those are my takeaways, but do I support that training? Yeah, I do. Would I support that we could get a discount? I do. Yeah.
I think, David, you took it a while back, and I'm not sure if anyone else took it, but if you had any comments.
There is a lot. It's very intense, but you get a lot out. And I kept a lot of the materials, so I kept them on my computer and such, because it was pertinent to what we were doing.
We come to your
When you talked a couple weeks ago, called the whole company, but how many years was that?
Well, so I don't have a clear vision of that because departments did it individually. Like when David did it, I don't know that it went through HR and I don't think it came to the commissioners. And Rich, you had told me when we first started doing it again, when Commissioner Ford brought it back, that there had been people kind of across the years who had taken it. I don't know when the first person took it.
You can check,
Yeah.
research on it.
I was, it's just a list of who all has.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I wonder if I could just maybe get it from NACO, to be honest, because I don't think we have a comprehensive list.
We can look back on.
AP.
Or something. And
Yeah, that's true.
that'd be one to just identify it, just
Yeah,
curious on who all has and.
yeah, we've talked about it, but I guess I didn't have a way to research it, so we'll do that. Yeah,
Well, I was suppose if you're gonna charge the department back for the cost, then the department heads are gonna be pretty intense on getting the right people.
yeah, I mean, all those things, we've been talking about it, we've been a focus, and I think all the department heads here would say that they've heard this discussion, they've had at least been asked to consider to send people, and I think they have thought about who would be important to send in their departments. And I think it's all your questions are good. I mean, I'm an optimist. I like to say, hey, we can take advantage of the discount and we can definitely get, really quality people to go to this. But your points are valid, so.
Like I said, you just, like, of course, you have to have someone that wants to do it.
You do. Yeah, this is intense, so yeah.
A lot of time, and if they're not willing to do that, that's the screening process, that's,
Yeah.
The department heads know their people, know.
Yeah.
If we send in, they're not meeting with this person, they're not gonna pay attention to
Right.
it. You want somebody that wants to learn.
Right. And we do require an application from the person. So the department head will talk to the person and recommend them, but that person needs to fill out why they want to go and what they think they're going to get out of it. So they're at least putting that much thought process into the application.
When do we have to know this by?
Well, so there's not necessarily a deadline, except I can't register the 2 that we've already approved until I know if I'm registering 5 or 2.
So you can get the information the board asked and then bring it back next week.
The number, yeah, I definitely could do that.
You can register 5 without, you have to name to
I
it.
don't have to name the names. Yeah, I was very clear.
We're gonna pay for 5.
We commit to 5 at
2 in this year and 3 next.
Yeah, I just can't reserve. Both the 2 that you already approved want to go in September. So we've got a little time, but they'd like to go in September and I need to do all 5 commitment on one form.
I didn't want to say we have to rush and get to 5 now.
No, we do not. Yes,
Look into it for the first year, let them
yes,
look into it for next year.
yes. And, I'm hoping, we also haven't done this where we've sent people in the early spring. So that might be a better time frame for some people too that get busy. I mean, I know Anna and I talked about her going and attending and the time commitment has been impossible. And I'm not saying that spring will be necessarily better for her, but potentially.
No, I think. And 5, okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, and then I can add that I can get the information working with AP and I can bring it on my regular staff report to just so that you have that reference if that works for you. Okay. Sounds good.
Get a motion, commissioners?
I think there was one. I think I had one. written
Yeah,
down.
there is one.
There is one. Okay, I would make a motion to, make a commitment to sending up to 5 participants to the NACO High Performing Leadership Academy within the next 12 months.
As soon as we get on so much. I'll second. Been moved and seconded to commit to sending up to 5 participants to the NACO High Performance Leadership Academy within the next 12 months. All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, commissioners, and we'll keep this on our HR reporting as well, but I'll get you the information you requested.
Next, commissioners, it's time for our favorite presenter, Brittany.
That's right. Thank you for recognizing that.
Our most frequent one too.
I mean, if I'm gonna be the favorite, might as well be the most frequent. You called me a queen the other day, so here we are.
Did you get you to the office?
No, but I have one.
I'm sure you do.
And on that note, good morning, commissioners. Brittany Phillips, Budget and Finance Officer, here to present just the update from Monday. with the change to the $250,000 reduction in the transfer in capital improvements, and where that brought you on the mill levy. So, and I did send you guys an email on this, -001, but if you pull these numbers out, they go on for quite a while. Yeah. Yeah. So I was going to tell you guys in the email yesterday, it's kind of like pie. It just goes on forever, but that's not realistic. But so that is just it rounds. And so it rounded down. So, we all understand it. It should look like 0.002, but so any questions, anything else you would like to cut?
See, because you had on there, you talk about the RCPD. Oh, yeah. RCPD appropriations was 7.64. I looked at a page, take theirs on tax value. Because then it leaves for a bottom line, we were at 484,000 in ours, which is 1.8%. Like that advertised, it probably won't be, but
Yeah. Yeah, what we increased overall, is very low compared. Yeah, absolutely. That's why and you see it in my memo now, but this is why Rich had me put this line in total increase
right, yeah.
for that.
The next one would be the ours, so
Mm-hmm.
We can put that in our PIO release.
okay. Okay.
Okay. Do you want me to keep coming back?
We enjoyed you coming.
It's okay. You don't have to lie to me.
No, I assume we're done.
Perfect.
Me too.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Brittany. Appreciate it.
Then you send it to the auditors.
Yes, I moved it. So I have the special districts completed. So there's two different state budget sheets. So there's all of our special districts, which is fire, and then our benefit districts and the cemeteries. I have that spreadsheet complete. We're still working through the audit process. So I started going through a lot of his notes yesterday and giving him some corrections to fix. So we're still going through that, but yes, I have a lot of that filled out for the 2024 actuals already. And I just got to put in 25 and 26 now that we're kind of done with this process, and then we'll get it sent off to the auditors. So I'll bring that back for final approval before he reviews it. That usually is a motion that you guys do. So I usually bring you the process or the state budget worksheets and you approve it. So.
It's meeting. Yeah. But it's just not online.
I don't have anything.
I'm good.
Okay, well, I would make a motion to adjourn the July 24th, 2025 meeting of the Board of County Commissioners.
No, second, the moved and seconded to adjourn the July 24th meeting of the Riley County Commission. All in favor?